Hi, I'm Niara, and this is my Wild and Wonderful undergrad series.
Wild and wonderful indeed. Niara, we are going to jump right into the first question, which is, where are your ancestors from, and how do you think this has influenced your upbringing?
So I'll start by saying my mother's ancestry because that's important in our culture. So my mom is from a small country in South America called Suriname. It's a former Dutch colony, and we are of African descent, which means that we're Creole people. And so my mom immigrated to the Netherlands at a young age because of the political situation in Suriname, and that's where she met my father, who is a Dutch man. And so those ancestors are all from the Netherlands, from Northern Europe. And we immigrated to Canada when I was 7 years old. And there I grew up on the Haldimand Tract, which is promised to the First Nations or the Haudenosaunee people.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in Kitchener-Waterloo on Block 2.
And is this something that's been important to you your whole life, or has it more recently come into focus for you?
It's been something that more recently I've learned more about.
Yeah.
Also taking the Indigenous class with Elder Bill definitely made me reflect more on my ancestry, where I come from. And
totally.
In general, I've been trying to learn more about how to relate to this land. You know, how do you become of the place? How do you get to know a place? And I think that starts by understanding where you're coming from.
That's a really informative exercise, to go and try to trace as far. Was it hard to trace back for you, or is it
No,
still intact?
I've been lucky because both my parents have done a DNA test.
Oh,
and
okay.
Also, my mom is a historian, so
there you go. Okay.
she knows a lot about our family history, and I get to know way more about that side of my family than most people who have Creole ancestors do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that, because there's so many instances where through the trauma and the intergenerational trauma that occurs, that history is unintentionally or intentionally erased.
Exactly.
So it's awesome to still be in touch with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So then, through your upbringing and coming through to be at the University of Waterloo now, it's not a very easy program to get into. There's a pretty rigorous entry process with interviews and précis and portfolio and everything, even grades too.
Yeah.
What do you think it was that the panel saw as unique or special in you that got you into this program?
Well, it definitely wasn't my drawing skills.
No?
I did have an art portfolio, but I'm sure that wasn't what excited them about my application.
Yeah.
So I had two things. At the time, I was doing this environmental petition. So it was about climate change, and I had some ideas for how we could fund certain kinds of environmental projects. And so I was doing that kind of activism in high school, and so that was something that I shared with the panel, and that I was interested in buildings and sustainability with relation to meeting climate targets. And then the other thing that I showed, because I was really into music in high school, I played different instruments. I was in the school band, took music lessons.
What'd you play?
So I played the Baroque recorder.
What?
I took private lessons for that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, you can look me up on YouTube. I still have something up there.
Wow.
But then I also played saxophone in the school band.
Yeah.
And we did jazz and different genres. I had an arrangement of, do you know the band Queen? With Bohemian Rhapsody?
Of course.
Yes. Okay. So I was really into rock music, and so I arranged some of their pieces because they have a lot of things that relate to opera and classical music in the rock genre. So I arranged that for my instrument, and then I performed that at my high school, and then I showed that at my interview.
That's so cool.
So I think that showed my creative skills, even if it doesn't show my drawing skills, but they're like, that's something you can learn. And so I think that's probably why I got in.
Yeah, they definitely won't teach you to play the saxophone here.
No.
Or the Baroque recorder. Definitely not.
No, there really aren't that many opportunities to keep doing music when you're here.
No, yeah, it's tough indeed.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say, like, over the course of your undergrad has been one of the greatest challenges that you've overcome?
I think the first year was the most difficult just because I was going through a tough time in my personal life.
Yeah.
And I was also commuting to school. So I was living with my mom in Kitchener-Waterloo.
Wow.
And so the bus ride to school every day is like an hour and 15 minutes. And I didn't really realize that you had to be in studio in person and that people pull late nights. So I didn't really have that kind of thing where you can just stay late at night because I'd have to take the bus home at a certain point.
Yeah.
And especially because I'm a girl, I don't want to stay too long and be at the terminal late at night. So managing my time and figuring out how to make it work and still get decent grades while commuting by bus, that was something that was incredibly tough. And the second year I managed to buy a car, which definitely made things a lot easier.
Yeah, I can imagine. Do you think in like a weird roundabout way, moving forward, that taught you how to be either better at time managing, or like it even taught you like a healthy working style to be like, okay, I am out of here, I'm checking out at 5 p.m.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it definitely did help me to time manage in some ways. Like I would have to come in early sometimes, but I couldn't stay too late. So I think I definitely still have boundaries around not working too late into the night, just because I feel like that's unnecessary and ridiculous, and I'm trying to prioritize my sanity over the
Very smart.
Academic success.
Yes. I think we all should.
Yeah.
And I think we're slowly moving in that direction.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
Or we're slowly trying to.
We're trying.
Which is most important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in such a challenging program, even when you take the best measures to take care of yourself, there's always going to be other people there that you can lean on to support you.
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the support systems that you have been most grateful for over the course of these last 5 years?
Well, I think, when people say it takes a village, it really takes a whole village of people. Like, we had an evening class in the first year when I was taking the bus, and my auntie would pick me up, and also a friend of my mom's. So then I didn't have to take the bus for that evening class.
Yeah.
And also my friend Simone would help me if I needed to stay the night, because we had something that was like a field trip the next day really early, something like that. So I could sleep over at her place, and just like the support from my peers, that people are open to answering a question or asking, how are you doing that? And I really think that there are so many people who support you in ways large and small, and that kind of makes all the difference in getting through the program.
100%. You're totally right. It's just so amazing that after all this time spent with all these other people, we've created such deep bonds. Like since we've all been through the same types of struggles, academically at least, there's so many people that you can relate to so easily. And I think that's why it's kind of sad to go, to leave all these people that we've gotten to know so well. But we'll see each other again in the future. So I guess it's not too bad. All right. Well, let's say you're looking back at this Kitchener living Niara back in first year.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
I mean, I think just like that it gets better, that the first year is the hardest because you're learning a lot of new skills. It's not like other people in high school who've already been doing English or physics or whatever it is they're studying. I mean, the design process is completely new to almost everybody. And so there's just a huge learning curve, and also with softwares and things, but you just kind of have to stick with it. And it does get better, especially once you start co-op, you start building confidence, and you get opportunities to be away, to have adventures, to see buildings, because, right now those buildings that the profs talk about aren't things that you've been able to see. But it gets to be much more real once you're working in an office and you're able to see those real examples. And so I think it's just a question of hanging in there until it does get better.
Any specific super memorable co-ops you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, the very last one in Amsterdam was super cool, just because it was kind of like a full circle moment for me, because I'd never been back to the Netherlands since we immigrated, and then I've also been trying to learn more about my roots since then, and going there, and then I was living with my Surinamese aunt who taught me so much about our culture in Suriname, and our whole diaspora is there. So yeah, it was super cool to see the Dutch design culture and working in an office and improve my Dutch language skills. And
that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was like a super cool opportunity, and I don't think I would have gotten that going to another school.
No, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine not having co-ops, like internships like that?
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't know. I'm so happy for you. That's fantastic. Like, I'm glad in the last co-op you finally got to tie all these wonderful ideas together and learn so many things.
Yeah.
Well, here is my last question for you, which relates to, again, that difficulty and these support systems in the undergraduate program of architecture.
Yeah.
When you're doing something creative, there can be so many obstacles or so many reasons not to act. It can be so easy to do nothing. But still, we continue to create. You continue to create.
Yeah.
So for you personally, what is it that drives you to consistently keep creating?
I think it's just that it's supposed to be fun, and you should be proud of the thing that you make.
Yeah.
And I struggled with that in the beginning because you get so many conflicting pieces of advice, but you just... Like, at the end of the day, I want to be proud of the project that I produced, and it should reflect my interests and values and the things that I've learned.
Yeah.
And I think that goes not just for architecture, but I started writing and publishing some writing while I was in this program. And I think, like, at the end of the day, when you finish the whole editing process, you want to be proud of it and you want to feel good about it. And I think... Yeah, I think it's like, I think that's it.
Yeah, because it's your work. At the end of the day, it's no one else's.
Yeah, and I know there was a book I used to really like from Kurt Vonnegut, and he was like, being an artist or writer is not a good way to make money, but it's a great way to grow your soul. And I think that's what it's about, right? When you're doing something creative, and not to say that we shouldn't be properly compensated or paid for our work as designers. That's another issue.
That's another issue for sure.
I think in terms of general creative work, like, it does grow your soul, and it's part of being alive is a creative act. So I think you really explore the fullest aspects of being human by doing creative things.
That's so beautifully put.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Niara. I really appreciate you talking to me today.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, I think we both learned quite a bit. Well, I mean, I learned quite a bit. And thank you to everyone for listening. Really appreciate it. Niara, did you have any last final closing thoughts for the wonderful people out there?
For the wonderful people. Yeah, I mean, thanks, guys. I think it was a good 5 years. And that's it.
Was it ever? Yeah. Such a good. Okay, thank you, everybody. Take it easy, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.